Hi everyone! This video is a part 2 to this video, so watch it if you missed it. I will show and talk about all the digital art I made this year. However, due to the sheer amount of it, I decided to split this into 2 videos. This time I will go through everything I drew from July to December. Before you ask, I use Ibis Paint X, and these are the brushes I use the most. I also always list them on my Instagram post if you need more specific brushes. And one last thing, some of my works feature blood, gore, and are a bit suggestive, so keep that in mind. I will also give additional warnings right before they come up. With that being said, sit back, relax, get your sketchbooks and tablets out, maybe a snack or two, and let's just get into it because I already know this will be long. Starting with this Daisy piece. Daisy is my OC I made back when I was in middle school, and years later I revisited her, gave her new design and story. I have multiple videos about that, so check that out if you're interested. Daisy is a goth now and into photography, and I love using her to experiment. This one specifically is a mirror selfie. I drew this pretty quickly from what I remember. I like the side profile, but the reflection looks a little weird to me. I don't know what it is. I need to do something like this again. Another Daisy drawing. I wanted to try giving her different hair. As much as I love her locks, I imagine she experiments with her look a lot. She definitely has a few wigs. And I think she looks really cool with a little pixie cut. I really like her expression here as well. I don't really do something like this often for some reason. This one was really fun to do. Another experimental Daisy piece. This one was more of a makeup experiment, and I wanted to pay more attention to her earrings. I like this one a lot too. It was quick since I used a symmetry ruler for most of it. This really makes me want to draw Daisy again. I haven't done it in a while. I've been really focused on the other characters from that story, and she kind of ended up in the background for me. Funnily enough, that also happened with her when I was in middle school too. Next is this Apple White from Ever After High piece. I redesigned her, obviously. For a while I wasn't planning on redesigning Ever After High, but I'm glad I did because it was a lot of fun, and of course there is a video on that as well. I like the design I came up with for Apple. I wanted it to be really round, royal, and pretty, and I think I achieved that. I also like the pose here. Next, I did more redesigns of my middle school OCs. I made a video about that as well, so I'll go through these quickly. This is also when I made my magical girl universe. The characters have superpowers, their own unique fashion styles, and I also included crazy nails they would wear. At first the nails were related to the powers, but later on I kinda gave up on that part. With this universe, I don't really bother too much with writing and making things make sense. There is a plot, but this is meant to be really lighthearted and fun, kind of like an early 2000s superhero show. Why do they have powers? How are their nails connected to it? I don't know, but it looks cool. I really like how these drawings turned out, and I had a lot of fun doing this. Most of my characters aren't that complicated design-wise, so I really wanted to draw some crazy outfits, makeup, and nails. You can watch the video if you're curious about the details because I'm leaving out a lot of them here. I felt like I was doing too much line art, so I made this. It's Rachel and Melanie from the story I just talked about. They are dating in the story and I love them. I love a good opposite aesthetic couple. This one's pretty simple, but it's cute. Then I drew my other character, Cat, and I'm bringing back the cat counter because I draw her quite often. Here I wanted to practice a back angle. I think it worked out pretty well. I don't remember if I used a reference or not. Knowing me, I might have powered through it as well. I love Cat, she's such a sweetie, and this outfit is one of my favorites that I've drawn her in. For the background, I tried to go for a cute gift card look. Bows, patterns, lace, all layered. I think the result looks really cute. Next, I did a whole series, pretty much. I took my characters from my Witchcraft story, that's what I call it in my head, and drew a few of their outfits. I love doing this. Make a base, then draw outfits on top of it, basically a dress-up doll. These are also my redesigned and rewritten middle school characters. Watch these videos for more info. This universe is definitely the most complicated and serious I've made so far. First up is Bonnie. Her style is hard to describe. I don't know if it has a specific name. It has lots of layers, muted colors, mismatched patterns. My favorite outfit has to be the second one. I just love jeans layered with dresses. I need to draw her more often. I love her face so much. Whenever I post her, half of the comments are blue eye memes. Next up is Daisy. Like I mentioned, she's goth, so she wears lots of black and silver. I also got to have fun with her makeup and hair. Bonnie doesn't change her look too much, while Daisy looks different pretty much every day. So I left her base barefaced, and it felt really cool to draw her makeup on top. The first two outfits are more complicated, for when she has the time and motivation to get ready, and the third is meant to be more casual, at least by Daisy's standards. No face paint, a baggy shirt and shorts. This was so much fun to do. Next is Sam. Her style is a lot more simple. She just wears a lot of white, beige, grey and jeans. But despite that, I still had a lot of fun with this. I love how her face turned out. It looks exactly how I imagined. I like how the pose looks with the outfits. For some reason on the base it looks a little weird to me. The first outfit might be my favorite. She just looks so comfortable. Next is Mingyu. I struggled with his body a bit. I'm still not great at drawing male bodies without clothes. With clothes I'm fine, without I'm completely lost. Anyway, Mingyu's style is baggy, cute and comfortable. He wears a lot of pastels. His face turned out so cute. He just looks so friendly, I love him. I don't know if I have a favorite outfit here. Maybe the second one has a more special place in my heart because it's from Mingyu's original design. Next is Dan. He's not a very fashionable guy. He doesn't think too much about what he wears, especially at the start of the story. Maybe once he gets closer with Mingyu, his fashion sense gets a little better. I struggled even more on the body. Male bodies are already difficult for me, but muscular male bodies are even more of a problem. The second outfit got compared to Dean Winchester a lot. My favorite outfit has to be the first one. It hurts my eyes the least. Next is Elsa. I love her. She's the villain of the story, and she honestly might be my most complicated character so far. She's powerful, sassy, beautiful, ambitious but reckless, and you'll see her a lot as we go on. Her style is lots of red, black, lace, very revealing and feminine clothing. She looks very different from the first time I drew her. I don't know what happened between those, but from here I stuck to this look. Honestly, really love all of these outfits. I just love Elsa, so no matter what she wears, I love it. And lastly, I added Natalie as well. She's not a very important character, but I really wanted to draw her. This took me the longest to do because she's covered in tattoos. Her style is not that crazy, it's alternative, but I didn't want to overcomplicate it. The tattoos make it complicated enough. I love the result of this, and I'm glad that I added her. And then to wrap it up, I put them on one canvas because why the heck not? The height differences are pretty much what I wanted, and I love how they all look together. This was really fun to do, and you should definitely try this out. This method is really useful when designing characters. Then I drew Rarity from My Little Pony, my design for her obviously. I really wanted to try giving her finger waves. I love how her face turned out, but looking back the body does look a little strange to me. Maybe a portrait shot would have been better. but I also wanted to try and make the dress look shiny. Not sure how well I did that, but overall I still like this. I should bring back my My Little Pony designs. It's been a while. This piece was kind of experimental for me. I again felt like I was doing a lot of line art and same compositions, and felt like doing something different. This is my redesign of CA Cupid from Ever After High. She has a really special place in my heart. I like to imagine her being on the Arrow A spectrum, struggling with love. It's an interesting concept, and I also relate to that a lot. I just drew her looking out her window with a sad expression on her face. As I often do, I put a lot of effort into the character, and the rest was a little rushed. I really need to work on that. But I still think this is a nice drawing. I actually really want to make this redesign into a doll, and I'm pretty sure Cupid is getting a Monster High G3 doll this year. So there might be a doll customizing video in the future. Another quick piece just to do something different. This is my design for Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony Flexing. I like the sketch better, to be honest. I do think that this would have looked better with line art, but at that time I really wanted to take a break from it. I enjoy line art now, but I'm still very attached to my no line art coloring style. I might redraw this at some point because I can do better. I was still thinking about Ever After High and how dark it actually is, so I drew Briar having trouble falling asleep. I really enjoy her story. She starts off as a royal, fully on board with following her destiny, then over time starts realizing how messed up it really is and becomes scared of it. I like how realistic it is, and I imagine she would feel uneasy whenever she goes to bed. This drawing is okay. I feel like now I can do better, especially with the shading. I might redraw this at some point too. Next, I drew Susie and Mark on a date. Their relationship is definitely one of the more interesting parts of this universe plot-wise. Susie is part of a superhero team, and Mark is a villain. They don't know about each other's true identities. I think later in the plot they do find out and break up, but then talk it out and get back together. That's a very simplified description, but the relationship itself is very sweet and cute. Susie is just a ball of sunshine, and Mark is usually really intimidating and flirty, but in front of her he just crumbles and I love it. The drawing itself is okay. They're supposed to be on a carnival date. Mark won a plush rabbit for Susie, she gave him a thank you kiss and he got all shy. For the background I used a photo, like I often do. It blends in well enough. Backgrounds are not my thing, I fear. I once again wanted to draw something without line art, and decided to revisit my tree hugger from My Little Pony design. I love how her face turned out. The features and expression are just so good. The background was a bit of a struggle though, I didn't really have a plan for it, but I still like this a lot. I like my design for her. Then I drew Rachel chilling on the beach. This was kind of a pose and composition practice. I like this one so much, she looks so pretty, and the coloring turned out so nice. Not much else here. Another experiment, I drew Elsa practicing spells. She looks really nice, but then I tried to do a background without any references, and it looks a little goofy, not gonna lie. This is why you should use references. I'm losing my voice. This is why you should use references. Might redraw this in the future. Okay, these next drawings are so cool and I'm genuinely so proud of them. So I drew Melanie a bunch of times. In universe, she is a supermodel as well as a superhero, and I imagine she does a lot of really alternative and experimental photo shoots, and I basically drew those photo shoots. These were super experimental for me and I love them so much. First one was a shading study and I wanted to give her some crazy makeup. I like this one a lot, though I couldn't decide on a lash color and ended up doing multiple versions. This is also when I discovered negative backgrounds. Basically just have a copy of the character, make it negative, zoom in on it and adjust the opacity. I do this a lot now. Next one was a shading and composition experiment. It's not that crazy to have an upside down copy of the character, but I've never done it. I also colored her hair and top differently to make them look really shiny and cool. I think this one is really cool. It's still pretty in my comfort zone, but it was interesting to do. This one was mostly a shading study. I didn't bother drawing the pose completely by hand and ended up drawing over my reference. The shading here is very different from how I usually do it, and it was very interesting to do. In the end, this piece isn't my favorite from these, but I do think I learned some things. This one is my absolute favorite. I immediately made it my phone's wallpaper and it's still there. I love how the colors turned out and her face looks so pretty here. The other drawings from this are on a darker and edgier side, and this one turned out much softer. Might be partially why this drawing stands out to me so much. Usually I'm pretty critical towards my art, but I'm like actually obsessed with this one. Next drawing is again a shading study and I wanted to draw crazy makeup. Melanie looks so different here. I don't know, maybe I just drew her face differently or the makeup makes it look like that. This was quick, I like it, and I learned some things from this. This drawing might be my second favorite out of these. The shading here is a lot more intense than how I usually do it, and I put a lot of time and effort into the clothes as well. I have this issue where I put a lot of effort into rendering faces and bodies, then get lazy with the clothes. I love how the jeans turned out. And you might notice that the print on the hoodie looks a little familiar. I do this a few times later on, but I used one of these Melanie drawings for the print. Since she's a model and these are her photo shoots, I'd imagine they could be printed on clothing as well. Am I cheating by doing that? Maybe a little bit. I call that an Easter egg. This drawing also took me the longest. I mean, it's a portrait shot and a full body. I almost did just the full body and then zoomed in on it for the close-up, but decided against it. This is a challenge I set up for myself. I have to commit, and I think it really paid off. I love this drawing. And the last drawing from this is this one. This one was also mostly a shading study. I traced the pose again, but tried really hard on the coloring. This one is not my favorite, but I don't hate it. And I'm really happy with myself for doing these studies. I definitely learned some stuff from this. Then I wanted to experiment with Rachel as well. I was thinking of drawing photos these characters would take, then hopefully putting them together into their social media pages. That has not happened yet, but I still want to do that. First up is this mirror selfie she's taking while putting on lip gloss. I don't think I used a reference here, so I'm really impressed with the pose. I also gave her a different hairstyle and it really stuck with me. I draw it again later. I imagine she does it when she doesn't have a lot of time to get ready. This drawing is nice, I just really want to actually draw her room by hand. Another mirror selfie. I don't like this one as much. I like the idea, but the execution isn't the best. The photo background really doesn't blend in well on this one. And one last selfie. With this one I gave up on the proper background, but I love the pose. I really enjoy drawing her face. Something about it just scratches the itch for me. I really need to design a room for her though. This next drawing is a silly one. A lot of people were redrawing this image, so I just had to do it with my characters. I chose Bonnie and Sam. Bonnie has this uncanny vibe to her, and Sam is a ball of sunshine compared to her, so they fit here really well. Then I redesigned some more of my middle school OCs. This time I made them into supervillains to add to my magical girl story. I have a video about this as well if you're curious. I will go over these quickly once again. I like these characters so much. I love the designs, I love the powers I gave them and the dynamics. I have been asked about their motivations and things like that, why they became villains. I don't know. Like I said, this universe isn't very plot focused, so I haven't thought a lot of the details through. Here, their nails don't really have anything to do with their powers. I just added them to match the other characters, to be honest. I need to draw these guys more. I have some ideas of how they would fight, their dynamics and stuff like that, but it's so much work. Next, I have an animation. I wanted to animate Daisy goth dancing. I basically found a dancing video I liked, took a bunch of screenshots, imported them into Ibis and drew over them. This took so freaking long. I knew this would be a lot of work, but boy, I wanted to give up so many times. The animation feature in Ibis isn't the best. I mean, I'm sure it's better with premium, but I don't feel like paying for it. The final animation isn't the smoothest, but I still like it. I like how her expressions change, and it was a good way for me to practice different angles of the face. Next is a little reference sheet, basically. This is Johnny, one of the villains from the Magical Girl universe. He's covered in tattoos, but when I was making the designs, I just didn't have the time nor motivation to draw all of them. I ended up covering most of them up. Here I wanted to actually figure them out. Then I decided to add a back view as well, because why not? This was fun and I like how it looks. I love tattoos. I don't know how often I'm gonna draw them though. They make the design so much more interesting, but it's so much work. I was feeling nostalgic, so I revisited my old Dream SMP fan art. I know. I remembered how much time and effort I put into designing those characters, and it felt like a waste, so I took them and made them into my own characters. Obviously, there's a video on that as well if you're curious. I think these designs are really cool. I give them new stories, but I haven't drawn them much since then, unfortunately. I need to work on them more because in my head, this universe is really fun. It's very Adventure Time inspired, just this fantasy world where different creatures coexist. I can make cool stuff out of that. There is blood in some of the drawings ahead. Skip to this timestamp if you don't want to see that. Then October rolled around and I decided to hop on Cringetober. I made a video about it, so I'm not gonna talk about each individual drawing right now. I'm not great at daily art challenges. It just immediately kills my motivation and I give up after a few days. Also, in most of these challenges, the prompts just don't interest me at all. Cringetober is the only list that spoke to me, and I wanted to do it since 2023. Though I did it at my own pace instead of a drawing per day, thanks to that I enjoyed it and even finished it early. I had a lot of fun with it, it really got me out of my comfort zone, it was great. At that time, I did feel like I was kind of stuck in what I draw. This helped me expand a bit. I might do more challenges like this in the future. In the middle of doing Cringetober, I got a cool idea for my Witchcraft story. What if Elsa revives Ben? If you're confused, Ben is Dan's twin brother. He and Elsa dated after she put a love spell on him, and he died. Whoops. Spoiler! At first I wasn't going to include him in the story, just in flashbacks and maybe haunting the narrative, but then I got this idea of Elsa reviving him. I don't remember what exactly inspired it, but it's so cool in my opinion. I'm still not 100% sure if I want this to be in the story, but it sure is an interesting dynamic to explore. To be clear, this is not a healthy relationship. They do love each other a lot, even without the love spell, but Elsa is too obsessive and possessive. She thinks she's saved Ben by reviving him. She doesn't see anything wrong in what she's doing, even though her recklessness is what got him killed in the first place. She uses forbidden spells, She harms innocent people to get what she wants, and it backfires, obviously. When revived Ben doesn't fit her perfect picture, she crashes down. Sorry for the lore dump, just wanted to make it clear that this is not supposed to be healthy. Pretty much all of my couples are healthy and cute, and I want to explore a different dynamic. But here are the drawings I made based on that. I really love them and they were really fun to draw. The second one specifically is one of my favorite Elsa drawings I've made so far. Keeping up with that idea, I made a video of Ben rejecting Elsa, basically. In my head, I call this her Azula moment. I came across a scene from The Dragon Prince, I believe, and it fit Elsa so perfectly, I jumped to draw this. This was also a great expression practice.
Don't do this, don't leave! It's a mistake, you can't! I saved you! You owe me your life! You have to stay! You have to stay! No! No!
Blood warning for the next artwork. Skip to this timestamp if you don't want to see that. Next is this short comic of Bonnie and Elsa. The idea here is the contrast between how they handle their powers. They're both witches, but they are on completely different levels and have very different views on it. Elsa got her powers early, she's always been praised for how powerful she is. She sees it as a blessing, the best thing that has ever happened to her. She calls herself special for having it. Bonnie, on the other hand, hates having this power. She makes no effort to train, to learn new spells, and avoids using it at all costs. If she could get rid of it, she would, but over the course of the story, she's pretty much forced to use it so she can stop Elsa. I imagine this comic takes place after a fight. Bonnie obviously lost, and Elsa taunts her for it. She's so mean, but I love her. I like how the coloring turned out here. Something about drawing blood is so weirdly therapeutic. Melanie makes a return. For Cringetober, I drew some outfits for Rachel, and of course I had to do the other characters from the story too. This universe is all about fashion after all. I had some trouble with her body proportions. Weirdly enough, I find plus-size bodies so much easier to draw compared to thin ones. I don't know what it is. Melanie's style isn't meant to be a specific style, just a lot of black and silver, showing off at least some of her body. I like drawing her because she has a lot of black in her design, and usually I just leave the black parts flat, makes the coloring easier. My favorite outfit is probably the second one. I just love these net sweaters a lot, they're so fun. Next is Susie. She is a coquette girly. She wears lots of pink, white, lace, bows, everything cute and feminine. I love her. While looking for references, I decided to add brown to her color scheme as well. It looks so nice with pastels. And I really wanted to have fun with her super long hair. I really wanted to give her braids, bows, waves. She has so much hair, might as well. Her body turned out really stylized, I think, but I like it. She looks like a pretty little ball-jointed doll to me. I love her so much. I can't choose a favorite outfit here. Then I did Max. I was not excited for this. Their style is Decora. They wear a lot of colors, layers. It's all really mismatched and chaotic and crazy. I just knew this would take forever, and it kind of did. I also wanted to experiment with their hair, as if I already didn't have enough work to do. But I actually had a lot of fun drawing this. I especially liked coloring the cardigan in the second outfit. I just love drawing knitted or crocheted patterns. I can't choose a favorite outfit here as well. I want to draw Max more, but it takes so long. Next up is Mark. I like the outfits, but I really struggled with his body. I had references in front of me, and it took me so long to sketch it, but something about it still looks weird to me. I now know that it's missing 2 extra lines on the chest, but someone told me that muscular bodies just kind of look like that, and it made me feel a little better. The outfit save it though. His style is pretty much a tight top, baggy pants, and chunky shoes, preferably showing his stomach. I like that silhouette a lot. Despite all the problems I have with this, I still had fun drawing it. Next, I did a short comic with my other characters, Nicole and Tyler. Crazy that they only came up now. They are from my warmed up story. It's just a slice of life, focusing on character relationships, nothing too crazy. For this, I basically just found a random quote generator, chose a quote I liked, and made it into a comic. I need to draw these 2 more because in the story they are actually pretty close. Their dynamic is basically Nicole ranting to Tyler about her life and love troubles, and Tyler listens and gives advice. To the best of their ability, they are RAs and autistic, so their advice is usually really blunt. Continuing with the outfits, next is Finn. He is another villain and I really like him. I love his design and the ability I gave him. His power is sound manipulation, and he's also mute. Because of his power, his hearing is strengthened. It's really overwhelming to him, so he wears noise-cancelling headphones pretty much all the time, and he uses sign language to communicate. I just feel very smart for that. His style is really baggy and comfortable, mostly light colors. I just love how light his design is. It helps him stand out, I think. And I did a thing again where I used a drawing of mine as a print. The last for now is Tom. He's actually in a team with Mark and Finn. I imagine they're longtime friends. They've been working together for years. They jump from apartment to apartment and are a little stupid when they're together. They all know sign language and use it among themselves all the time. I need to draw a little comic with them. Maybe some silly moments or their teamwork. Anyway, Tom's style is a lot of black and silver, maybe some red. I wasn't going for a specific style, to be honest. I really love how he turned out. I had way less trouble with his body. I need to draw these guys more. I was also going to draw Megan, Johnny, and Tamotsu in this format, but so far I haven't done that, sadly. There will be mentions of a coming up. Nothing too graphic, but if you don't want to see or hear about it, then you can skip to this timestamp. Then I made a video about my character Oliver. He's from my warmed up story. The video is about his relationship with his father, basically. When he was little, his father was very strict, very conservative, and later an abusive alcoholic. When Oliver was a teenager, the 2 of them got in a really bad fight, and Oliver ended up basically kicking his father out of the house and out of the family. Then later in the plot, he comes back as a changed man, but not really. Yeah. The song in the background is Like Him by Tyler, the Creator. I can't put it in the video for obvious reasons, but you can see it on my Instagram, TikTok, and Shorts. It actually did really well on here. I really did not expect that. Thank you. This is when I discovered mouthwashing. I drew Anya when she was talking to Curly in front of the nighttime screen. That specific scene really stood out to me. This was also a shading practice for me. These last few months I've been really trying to get better at dramatic shading, and I think here it turned out pretty well. I also just love how her facial features turned out. Love Anya. She deserves so much better. Gore warning for the next artwork. Skip to this timestamp if you don't want to see that. Then I also drew Daisuke from mouthwashing as well. At first this was just supposed to be a face study, pretty much. I just wanted to see if I can make him look like himself. But then I also drew his axe wound on top of it. Got a little carried away. I'm not sure if I can actually show it on YouTube, so I will blur it, but you can see it on my Instagram if you want. I like this. He deserves better too. Then I drew Anya again, but this is just a quick portrait of her smiling. The colors are more muted than what I usually go for. I'm pretty sure I tried picking them off of the game model. Yeah, not much else to say on this one. This is a very experimental drawing. This is my character. He's one of the characters that used to be from Dream SMP. He's definitely the most interesting character out of that video, and I'm actually really proud of the story I gave him. The gist of it is he finds a weird book that teleports him in time. At first he throws it away and tries to forget about it, but slowly gives in and starts using it more and more. Obviously it backfires badly. He starts losing his mind a little bit and literally transforms into a weird creature. It's more interesting and creepy in the video, I promise. This character also doesn't have a name because he forgot it. I really want to use him for weird body horror kind of art. It's out of my comfort zone for sure, but I think with some practice I can get there. I like this drawing a lot. I relied on filters a lot to make it look more grimy and creepy, but it is what it is. The result looks cool and that's all I care about. Next, I remembered the hairstyle meme and thought, why not? I used Cat for this. She doesn't change her hair too often, but I wanted to experiment. This was fun. I did cheat a little bit and use the same base for every style. Usually people draw it all from scratch, at different angles and different poses and stuff, but I couldn't be bothered. I want to do this with my other characters, but so far I haven't done it. Also, here's the template if you need it. I had to make my own because the one I downloaded was really blurry, and if you use it you don't have to credit me. I literally just drew over an already existing template. Elsa makes a comeback. This was mostly a shading study, but I also just wanted to draw Elsa. The shading actually turned out really nice, I think. I'm pretty proud of it, but I didn't really know what to do for the background, so it's not that great. Elsa is so fun for me to draw, I can't explain it. It's crazy for me to think that I made her back in middle school, and back then I barely drew her. She was such an afterthought of a character, and now she's one of my favorites and probably my most complicated OC. Then I did a little mouthwashing animatic of the dead pixel scene. I didn't try too hard on the frames, otherwise this probably would have taken me a week to do, but I like this. I even used that Anya drawing from earlier, and this actually did really well on my Instagram, which is really cool. Thank you for that. Next, I did a video where I drew your OCs. Basically, I set up an email and a hashtag where you could send me your OCs. I chose 20 of them and drew them in my style. You can watch this video if you're curious. This was so much fun. All the characters are so different and unique. I really enjoyed drawing them. I want to make this into a series on my channel. This is just such a cool way for me to interact with you guys. I might do this again in a few months, maybe earlier, but I'll make sure to announce it in advance, so keep your eyes peeled if you want to participate. I also send the drawings to the artists so they can have them in better quality. I got a little Elsa face at this point. I was rewatching Hilda Furakawa edits. It's an old Brazilian show. I love it. And the main character Hilda fits Elsa so well. Her mannerisms are exactly how I imagine Elsa behaves. So I took a bunch of screenshots from the show and basically drew Elsa on top of them. The first screenshot is one of my favorite scenes from the show. Ben and Elsa fit here really well. The expressions and proportions were a little difficult to get right. I wanted it to line up with the screenshot, but I didn't want it to just be traced. So some of the proportions are a little off from my style, but it doesn't stick out too much. I have so many ideas for their plotline that I'm not even sure if I want to include, but those ideas require practicing a lot of stuff I'm not great at. With the rest of the screenshots, I don't have much to say about each individual one, so I'll just bundle them together. I really like how they all turned out. Some of them were shading studies as well. I also drew all of these so quickly. I would do multiple a day, like, that's crazy. People quickly noticed my obsession with Elsa, and I can't blame them. Next, to take a break from my characters, I drew a few Monster High redesigns based on my dolls. I also collect dolls, and I absolutely love the G3 Monster High dolls. Recently, I also dabbed into making full-on customs of G1 characters. Once I have a proper display for them, I'm definitely making a doll collection tour. Anyway, first up is Kara Screams, really cool character. This redesign is pretty much my custom, but with more dramatic hair. I love her original hairstyle, but I just couldn't manage it on my doll. I think this drawing turned out really nice, and I love this design. Also, just to be sure, I don't do these redesigns with any malicious intent. I don't fix the originals or anything along those lines. This is actually my way of appreciating the original media. Next up is Rebecca Steam, another really cool character that sadly isn't in G3, not yet at least. This is also basically just my custom, but with more dramatic hair. I tried curling her hair but was impatient, so it didn't really work. Not much else to say on this one, I like it. And last but not least is Venus McFlytrap. This is honestly just her G3 design with a few small changes. I really love her G3 design, and her doll is incredible. I need like 20 of her in my collection. But I did add a jean vest like in G1 and more black to her design. Next, I watched Agatha All Alone and needed an older witch lady OC, so I made Cassandra, Bonnie's mom. I had some trouble with the color scheme, but it worked out well in the end. I imagine her as this energetic, friendly, but slightly off-putting weird lady. She has a lot of stuff all over her house, from pretty rocks to creepy clown dolls, and she always smells like cigarettes, and her voice is really raspy from years of smoking. She's really fun. I was also going to design Bonnie's grandma since the three of them live together, but that got scrapped. I should come back to that at some point. I have some rough ideas for her. Blood warning for the drawings ahead. Skip to this timestamp if you don't want to see that. I have to separate these two drawings. It's Elsa and Ben, but it's directly plot related. This is a flashback to Ben's death. I'm still working on the details of that, but the basic idea is a broken heart kind of thing. Elsa puts a love spell on him despite it being forbidden. In her head, she justifies it. They obviously like each other anyway, but lack the courage to confess, so technically she helped him. But it backfires, of course. Spells like that are incredibly unstable. Ben starts changing, becomes really possessive, to the point that Elsa rejects him, breaking his heart. At least that's the rough idea. The first drawing is Elsa getting ready for a date with Ben, really excited. She's about 14, 15 here. It was really weird to draw her without the dark makeup and with long hair. The composition is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I like the result. The other drawing is right after Ben's death. Elsa is holding him in her arms, terrified. This was a nice pose practice for me as well. I'm actually really happy with how much attention I've been paying to my OCs this year. In the past, I would draw them so rarely and I hated that. I either couldn't make them look how I wanted, or I felt like people wouldn't really care about them. Honestly, just post your characters and over time people will start caring about them. I really love it when people ask me about them, give me story ideas or headcanons, and just enjoy my characters and stories. Thank you guys for that. So I watched Arcane for the first time. I don't know why I didn't get into it when the first season came out, but I waited until all of season 2 came out and watched it all in one sitting. I really enjoyed it, though season 2 did feel really compacted to me. Just a lot was happening in a short amount of time. Even before I saw that a lot of content had to be cut out, I got that feeling. But anyway, visually the show is absolutely gorgeous, so I just had to do a study on the style. It's also because on TikTok I kept seeing videos with those stupid AI filters. What would I look like as an Arcane character? And it's just a Kate, Vi, or Jinx face plastered on a photo with a cartoon filter. I kept hitting not interested, but TikTok thought it meant I need to see more of that. So then I literally started blocking people using those filters. I hate those filters. But that's also why I wanted to draw this. I drew myself in this style. I sometimes struggle with self-portraits because I guess I don't know what I look like, but it turned out nice. I think I picked up some coloring techniques from this, and it actually looks like me without harming the environment. Okay, maybe I wasn't quite done with Ben and Elsa. I found this screenshot from How to Train Your Dragon and jumped to redraw it. Elsa has a really big soft spot for Ben and Dan. With other people, she's pretty distant, sometimes mean, and she just puts on a really arrogant facade. Ben is the only one that's allowed to see her softer, more vulnerable side. Ben looks so pretty here, but man, that hand took me like 15 tries. Then I did a little animation again using Tasha and Kat. It's not that complicated and I finished it pretty quickly. It's really cute though and I love them. But when I posted it to Shorts, YouTube added a stupid voiceover to it and I have no clue how to get rid of it! Slight spoilers for Arcane Season 2 coming up. Skip to this timestamp if you need to. Then I drew Maddie from Arcane, but I tried to make it more in my style. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I actually like Maddie. I like her design, her accent, what they did with her in the story. Though I do think she's really underdeveloped, can't argue with that. A lot of people really hate her. Most of what I've seen is just because she gets in the way of Kate Vi. I find that a bit silly, to be honest. There are better reasons to dislike her. But anyway, I like the drawing. I kind of lost my steam when I got to her clothes, but it's whatever. Then I drew Victor in his astral form for a coloring study. I'm not sure what to call it. But those scenes are so gorgeous. The way the characters are shaded is so interesting. I also just really love Victor. This was a lot of fun. There were a few bumps in the process. I had to go back and forth and fix some mistakes here and there, but I like the result. The next drawing might be a little freaky, but I promise it's not meant to be. Anyway, you can skip to this time if you want. So, Rachel has plant powers, and I imagine she would use vines to capture the villains. Whatever, you can see what's going on. Tamutsu got captured and he's not happy about it. The pose is out of my comfort zone, for sure, but I like the outfit and colors. I swear this was meant to be non-freaky, but as the process went on, I kept thinking, is this too much? I'm not a freak. I'm not freaky. Next, I wanted to draw Mingyu because he deserves some love. He's from the Witchcraft universe. I drew a few expressions for him to kind of work out his personality. When I was in middle school, he was quite bland. Imagine any shy manhwa protagonist that kind of acts like a kid to an uncomfortable degree. That was him. And I really don't want that for him. He's still nice, sweet, and friendly, but he's an adult man and acts like it. He's really smart, aware, and a bit skeptical at times. Later in the story, he starts dating Dan, but I imagine it takes a while for them to even become friendly. Mingyu is very skeptical of Dan at first. Anyway, yeah, these were really quick sketches. I didn't clean them up or anything, just a quick little practice. I like the scared expression a lot, weirdly because of the shoulders. Sometimes I have trouble with them when the perspective is different. Then I made a little comic with Tasha and Oliver. They are from the Warmed Up story. For quick context, they are childhood friends. They're super close, and Tasha loves stealing Oliver's clothes. It got to a point where their closets are a mix of both of their stuff. Sometimes Tasha even forgets what's theirs and what used to belong to Oliver. And that's this comic, pretty much. It started as me drawing Tasha in this silly shirt and grew into this. I love these two so much. My babies. And this actually did really well on my Instagram. Still Tasha and Oliver. I came across a cute slideshow on TikTok and just applied it to these two. This was also quick. I did put more time into the first slide. I even colored the sketch. But with the other two I got lazy and just wanted to finish them, to be honest. The result is still really sweet though. On the first slide they're taking a selfie, and I actually like it a lot. Second is them doing face masks. This one is okay. And the third is them as kids. My Shayla! Drawing Oliver as a baby makes me so emotional every time. The next drawing is a little suggestive, I guess. There's some nudity. I'm gonna cover it up just to be safe, but you can skip to this timestamp if you need to. Yes, this is Elsa again. This is again a shading practice. Totally not because I want to draw Elsa tastefully naked. Nope, not at all. I like this though. Oh my god, some fan art. After so long. I came across this image from the Walton files. Not sure what it means as of now, but I felt like redrawing it. This was quick. I really enjoyed playing around with different filters and effects, and it was a nice break for my characters. Back to my characters, I drew Dan, Daisy, Elsa, and Ben as kids because they are actually childhood friends. They used to be super close until Ben, Just kidding, they stay friends forever and ever and nothing bad happens to them. Drawing kids is always a challenge for me. I've talked about it a lot. I always want to adjust the proportions, but then they end up looking older than intended. I have to keep telling myself that kids are just built a little weird. Here it wasn't that much of a problem though. The poses were a bigger problem. I think they turned out really cute in the end, just walking together, all happy, not knowing what will happen later. Bless them. Continuing with that idea, I drew Daisy and Dan and how their friendship deteriorated over time. She actually had a crush on him growing up, but it never went anywhere. They were very close up until Ben's passing, then distanced himself from everyone, became a lot quieter, less energetic. At first he would decline all of Daisy's invitations to hang out, then started responding less and less, until he started completely ignoring her. He wouldn't say hi or even glance at her. Obviously it hit Daisy really hard. Ben is gone, Elsa left suddenly, and her only remaining friend is now completely ignoring her for seemingly no reason. She hoped that they would be there for each other in such a difficult time, but it was the opposite. In the story, they are kind of forced to interact with each other due to having mutual friends and all the weird magic stuff going on, but Daisy is not happy about it. Dan kind of tries to make things better, but at that point it's too late and it will never go back to how it was. Yap session over. Sorry. I cut a lot of corners here because I really wanted to finish it, but didn't really have the time. But I like it. I wanted to pay more attention to these two specifically. This next drawing is a little bit freaky, but this time it's on purpose, so skip to this timestamp if you want. Okay, where do I begin? So this takes place when Dan and Mingyu are together. It takes a while, but eventually they get there, and Sam accidentally walks in on them, and it's awkward, and yeah. Let's just talk about their relationship. I have a lot of ideas for these two. I definitely want Mingyu to be skeptical about Dan at first, like I mentioned. Mingyu doesn't have the best reputation. He's openly gay, not very well liked and not very popular despite literally being in the student council. On the other hand, Dan is one of the most popular students, captain of a basketball team, and he's very liked. Mingyu just doesn't see why someone like Dan would want to be friends with someone like him, but Dan genuinely has good intentions. It's rough at first. Dan has to go through some serious changes for Mingyu to trust him, getting rid of his people-pleasing tendencies, cutting off ignorant friends, just understanding himself more. They get at some vaguely romantic situations each time Mingyu tries to cut it off and move on from it, but they get there eventually, and from there it's sweet and cute as per usual. This was a nice practice for me as well. I really want to work on drawing characters interacting with each other, try different poses, compositions, and scenes. I still have a long way to go. Keeping up with that idea, I drew this. I imagined Dan came up to Mingyu to talk, but his basketball teammates are to the side, kind of side-eyeing them and giggling. Mingyu notices it, assumes it's some kind of prank and goes off. He's gone through something like this many times before, so he stands up for himself. Even though Dan didn't have any bad intentions, he just has stupid friends. This drawing was quick, it's again just a colored sketch. After doing Cringetober, I started allowing myself to post slightly unpolished art. Colored sketches are okay too, though I feel like my sketches aren't that messy. Here it actually looks nice. I was still in the Mingyu and Dan mood and drew them almost kissing. They look so freaking cute here, I love their expressions. They've come so far. They used to be so flat and stereotypical, didn't have much of a story or personality. I didn't even bother giving them a backstory of how they met and got together. This drawing just really took me back to those times. I'm so glad I gave these characters a second chance. So the rest of the art is pretty much just Dan and Mingyu. My bad. Here is a quick little sketch of them hanging out. Mingyu is working on something and Dan is just kind of there. Then I drew Bonnie with Mingyu. Bonnie is Arrow Ace, so she's not a fan of romantic relationships and everything to do with them. She's a hater. And Mingyu used to be a hater as well. Growing up, he read a lot of romance comics and books. He used to be very boy crazy and wanted a relationship so bad. At some point he kind of got over it, decided he's fine being single, and then accidentally got into a relationship. That's pretty much the idea of this drawing. I think it looks really nice. The sketch turned out really clean. Then I did a whole comic. This was a bit rushed. I just really wanted to visualize it before I forgot or lost motivation. The idea is, like I mentioned, at first Mingyu was very skeptical of Dan because of his past experiences, and the comic itself takes place once they are together. Sometimes Mingyu still has those negative thoughts of it all being fake. I really love the last two frames, they're so cute. I'm trying to draw characters interacting more, and these two really motivate me to do that. Next is a sketch of them just being cute. Maybe this is early on in their relationship, just a little bit of flirting, not much else to say on that. And lastly is this sketch, a continuation of one of the previous pieces. I have to say, I'm not great at drawing kisses, still need to work on that, but they're so cute and so sweet and they make me so happy. Now, like last time, I also want to show some of the commissions I did as well, the ones I could find and am particularly happy about. I did a lot of chibi commissions now that I look at it. A lot of them are also from repeat commissioners. It makes me really happy that they trust me enough to commission me multiple times. It means the world. My commission experiences have been really great so far. Everyone is super nice and patient, and it's always a pleasure. I want to thank everyone that has commissioned me in 2024. It's not at all required to do, so it means the world to me when someone does. If you might want to commission me, I have a price sheet pinned on my Instagram, along with a highlight of some of my commissions I've done in the past. And lastly, I swear I'm almost done, I want to compare my art at the start of 2024 to now. I chose this drawing of Chili Healer I made in January 2024 and redrew it. I can definitely see progress. The pose is more interesting, same with the shape language, and I like her facial features a lot more. It's more obvious that she's supposed to be older. Speaking of my art overall, I also do line art now sometimes. I did not at first, in fact I despised doing line art. But even then, I think my no line art coloring also looks better. It's more crisp, I think. I also got better at shading, or at least I think I did. I don't know how noticeable it will be for you guys, but some parts of my art style also changed. Mainly the faces. They feel more detailed and I'm better at making them diverse. I also think I'm better at different compositions. At the start of the year I drew a lot of full bodies of characters just standing there, maybe with a close-up on the face. I still do it a lot, but I also do short comics, portraits, different poses, angles and backgrounds now. I'm really happy about that. I'm proud of the progress I made this year and I want to keep improving in 2025. Now is a good time to say that I was originally going to post this at the end of 2024 for New Year, but my family was always home the whole holiday season, so I had to postpone that. But either way, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting me in 2024. I cannot express it enough. In 2025, I want to keep doing what I like, experiment, challenge myself, and I hope you guys stay for that. Okay, now I'm done. This is finally it for this video. If you stayed up until this point, thank you. I hope you enjoyed my rambling. I will not enjoy editing it, I can tell you that much. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Check out my other socials, they will be on the screen and in the description. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Drew Daisy and Dan and how their friendship deteriorated. Deteriorate. They were very close up until. I have to say, I'm not great at drawing kisses. Still need to work on that. But they're so cute and so sweet, and they make him so. I chose this drawing of Chili Hill. You guys so much for supporting me in 2024. I cannot express it enough. In 2024, I cannot express it enough. Again!